Okay. Let's see what we got going on. Look at things up. And okay. Just a little bit. See. Come. Practice. Let's see what these sound like. Good strike for this. That'd be fun. Oh, got a screw. Good message. And put a Twitter. That's the. Let me get the tuning in. Let's see. I have no idea what I'm doing still. There we go. There's link sent. Is this? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, that's. Zeros. Remember. Okay. Hello.
What's happening, man?
Oh, not much. How's things?
It's good. Just hanging out on a Sunday and saw you was streaming. So I had to scurry about a wee bit before I hopped in. And so, hey, man, it's just a laid back Sunday, man. Really uh, helping somebody calibrate their OBS and stuff earlier.
Nah.
Um, yeah. So what's happening, dude?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying what little time I have free. I'm starting a new second job on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So,
Busting that A, man. Making that
yep.
jack. So I like the title. Sometimes I hate this place and other horror stories. So, if you got some stuff you want to talk about, or you got a story to tell?
I have some. Actually, this is from like just after we got off our last stream. Um, I was trying to think of something that would, be kind of everyone would have a story to tell, because we all have work-related horror stories. And like right after the stream, that was I think it was that Saturday, because that's my Monday, really, for the job I have now. And I had quite possibly the weirdest interaction with this guy who I've never even met before. I was in one of the group homes because what I usually do is I go from group home to group home, as I said before, and I'm sitting there and I'm just laid back in the chair, just reading through emails, and I hear pounding, and I'm looking around and like, okay, which one of them is getting up? And come to find out the knocking is coming from the door. And I'm like, okay, maybe one of the previous shift, left a phone charger behind or something, set of keys. And I opened the door, and there was a half-naked Mexican man standing there, damn near crying.
All right. When you say half naked now, do you mean from the waist up half naked or from the waist down half naked?
Waist up.
Okay.
Um, and he's got like sandals on. So it's like definitely not in season.
Right.
It's still pretty cold out. I think our high temperature was 40-ish, like 42, I think. And this is like start of the night. And he's like, man, I've had an awful night. Can you call me a cab? And he is switching between like normal, just composed, to I'm about to start bawling my eyes out. Just up and down, up and down. And I'm like, I can't, I can get you the phone. Like, I can't do anything for you because this is my workplace. I can't. And so he goes, okay. And so I hand him my work phone, and it's looked like he just started cycling through numbers, like he was just playing with the phone. And I'm like, all right. So I kind of close the door on it, and I go back to my phone, and I'm just like, all right, let me look up the cab company because they'll pick them up and take them off. But the cab company we have here stops operating after 10 for some god awful reason.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh God, And I ran back out there and I'm like, well, do you have an Uber? And he's like, I don't even have my phone on me, man. It's just, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, dude, take it easy, breathe. And I'm like, let me get back to you. And I close the door on him again. And I'm like, I got to get rid of this guy. He's clearly erratic. Like, I have no idea what's going on. And he he's sitting there, and I go, well, it's still cold out there. I'm like, I got to get him a sweater or something. Keep him calm. They go out there, and I'm like, hey, it's pretty cold out here. You need a sweater? And he's like, yeah. So I run out to my car, and all the way, I'm parked like away on the opposite side of a wall. And I'm like, I can't see this guy now. Maybe I should move left. And so I just quickly grabbed my sweater, and ran back. And I gave him my sweater, and it's a hoodie, zipperless, regular hoodie. But instead of putting it on, like, you would, he just takes where the waistband is and puts that over his shoulders. And I'm like, or you could do that. And so
or you could do that.
And so I'm like, this guy's clearly not in his right mind. Because if you're giving someone a sweater, they're gonna put it on. They're just gonna put it on their head, like on their body. And he's not even. It's like, I'm just gonna wrap this thing around me instead of actually put it on. So he kind of just just over his shoulders, and I'm like, all right. So I'm like, okay, the only thing I can think of is I'm going to have to take this guy somewhere. So I called another one of the group homes, and I go, okay, I have a really odd request for you. And I usually joke around with people all the time, so they are kind of expecting, okay, what now? And I go, I have a half-naked man here. I need to get rid of him. And they're just like, what? And I'm like, just pull someone over here. I'll explain when you get here. And I go in, and I'm like, I go back to the door. I'm like, well, here's what I can do. I got one of my associates coming, and I will take you where you need to go. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, it's still really cold out here. And he goes, yeah. And then he just pushes past me. And I'm like, all right. Now this is a new thing. Like, he is now in the group home where he's not supposed to be. And I'm like, okay, they got to get here quick so I can, get this done and over with. And I'm just talking to him. Just he's still crying, like, not like full on tears crying, but like that pre-snivelly pouty cry. And I'm just like, hey, so how's your night going? Like, of course, that's the first question I use. And he just brings up, he's like, I just got in a fight with my girl, and I'm so sorry. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Just
so what was your gut saying? I was like, is this drugs or is this psych? Are you thinking?
I'm thinking it was drugs.
All right.
Because I mean, I've seen some weird shit,
Yeah.
but I mean, if I was gonna take a wild guess in the dark, I would have said ecstasy,
Oh wow. Okay.
because I've had one other interaction with someone on ecstasy, and it was almost the same thing.
Got you.
And
Affect all over the place.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so the the gal pulls up, and she gets to the door, and I open the door for her, and she goes, "Okay, so what's going on?" And I just sort of look down at him, because like there's the entryway and there's a couch like right by the entryway, and I just sort of glance over, and she looks over and she goes, "Oh, yeah, I get it now." So I gave her just a brief rundown of whatever, um, um, of whatever needs to happen in case something happens.
Right.
And I load the guy up, and I'm like, "All right, let's get going." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And he goes out, and the first vehicle he sees is a work a work van. It's a big 16 passenger van. And he starts pulling at the door, and I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 we're not using that. We're taking my car, uh, and then we'll you know let's go there." And he gets in the car, and he sits down, and he's just like trying to like take a deep breath. He goes, "I really appreciate this, man." And I go, "That's fine, you know, just gotta do what you gotta do." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what this tattoo means." And he like points to his neck, and it's got some weird stuff. It's dark, and I can't really see it. And I'm like, "All right, oh, okay." And I'm like, and he's talking about where he works. "Hey, if you can bring your family down to this because it's a restaurant that's in town." And he's like, "Yeah, you bring your family down, and I'll treat you guys." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going there." And I get there, and I'm like, "So okay, where do you live?" And he goes, um, next to our Capitol building." And I'm thinking it's got to be that side of the other side of the Capitol building, because the side that I'm hoping is all offices. And so yeah, I'm talking to him, and he keeps apologizing for like being me taking the time out of my work schedule for him. And we get to his place, kind of. Oh no, we were by the Capitol building, and my passenger seat has an alarm that goes off when the buckle isn't belt when the belt isn't buckled, and he can't find where the latch is,
Right.
and so he's hitting his leg, and every time the buckle hits his leg, it's like it's hitting something metal, so it's like metal on metal contact.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Oh shit.
"Please tell me that's a metal wallet." Like, I want that to be a metal wallet. And um, so I'm just sort of like, "So, what other stuff do you do, like, to keep things going?" And yeah, he's like, "Oh no, I just work and kind of try to keep things normal." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Yeah, normal. Not something I would call tonight." And so we get to his apartment, which is just on the opposite side of the Capitol building, like you said. and I out of reaction, I always just, I have a friend that I take to work occasionally, and we shake hands before, after the ride's done. So, thank you, blah blah. So I just, out of reaction, I go to shake his hand, and he just grabs my hand and he's like, "Dude, I love you," and he just starts kissing my hand, and I look at him and I go, "You have just officially made this the most awkward night I could possibly imagine." And then as soon as he gets up and leaves, he apologizes again, and he leaves. And I just, as soon as he gets out of where I can drive, I just take off. I get back to the group home, and she's like, "Who was that guy?" And I'm like, "I have no clue. I've never seen him before." And,
so you got the phone back?
Oh no, yeah, I had all that taken care of. Like, there was
cool.
It was it's pretty brief interactions, but as far as the phone goes, but yeah, it looked like he was just combing through the phone book type thing. Or it's just had all the group home numbers in there, and he's just cycling through, and I'm like, "What are you even looking at?" But yeah, he got back, and she's just like, "Who was that guy?" And I'm like, "You got me. I got nothing."
Damn.
And it's not necessarily the first time that's happened. We've had.
Well, let me ask you this: what did you think his belt, the seatbelt buckle, was hitting when he was trying to, buckle the seatbelt?
I was thinking it was either, at best case scenario, it was like one of those metal wall case type things.
Right.
Worst case scenario was a knife.
Knife, yeah, that's what I was thinking, man.
And it was metal enough for me not to freak out. I'm just like, stay positive.
Yeah, no shit. God, man.
Yeah, we've had people looking for parties, like seeing, because some of the group home lights have to stay on.
Right.
And so we have people looking for house parties who see, people walking through a house in the middle of the night, and they're like, "Oh, there's a party here. Let's go in." And they'll just walk right in, beer and liquor in hand. Like, "Let's start the party." Like, yeah, this is not one of those times to do that.
God, man. So when I was working in, the group home that I worked in, I told you about the lady that I was paired with.
Yeah, the chitlins lady.
Yeah, okay. I told you the chillin' story. My God, I can still smell that shit.
Yeah, that's
how much an impression it made on me.
Yeah, that's awful. Like, we've had some bad cooks. There's a lady still works there. She made deviled eggs, and they smelled so bad that the fridge reeked of that stuff for like a year and a half.
Oh my God, shit!
And that was after, like, we take bleach and stuff to it. So, like, it was just bleach and whatever she made.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awful.
Man. I was trying to think of, like, the worst shit that happened to me at the places I worked, man, was ended up with me going to HR. I'm trying to think of something that's Oh wow, okay. I was working at this adolescent place, doing as a counselor, and they had a contract with this place from they had a state contract with this child services, right? And if like say a juvenile got busted with drugs or some stuff, you know, they got put in the system, and part of their deal to get out was to go through, you know, the drug rehab center where, you know, where I was working, right?
Yeah.
And it was a strictly an adolescent rehab center. They finally figured out to move the girls all the way to the other side of the facility, away from the boys. After I pointed out that they were probably going to fuck. But the craziest thing that happened to me was that one of these kids that was part of that system thing, right? He was actually, there was like, I've got 2 or 3 stories from these kids, because some of them were pure ass criminals, man. And some of them were just kids that were just, you know, just were doing drugs, you know, and got caught, you know, experimenting. And then some of them were kids that had problems, you know, with drugs, right? So you had this whole weird mix of kids in this system, and they all had to, you know, go through these specific steps before they go back to their home or wherever, you know, it was that we're going to go back to. And so, and the first thing they did was this thing called eval, right? Where they have them, they isolate them when they're brand new, and they do the, you know, they give them the testing, and they figure out, you know, what kind of psych stuff they may have to go along with it. And this one dude was humongous, and he decided to break out, and it was that place was a hard place to break out of, but he took one of the tops off the toilet and just busted a window with it, right? And he walked straight out. And so they're like telling me to follow him, and I'm like, okay. So I followed the kid, and I catch up to him, and he turns around, and he's got a toothbrush that he's whittled down to like a pointy edge, all right, with his teeth. He had taken the toothbrush. They didn't even figure this shit out. That's how stupid these people I was working with were. And he was just grinding it with his teeth. You know, during everything he was going through, he'd have that thing in his mouth, and he was twisting it, right?
Yeah.
And so he had ground it down to a point and shit. And he said, do you really want to fuck with me? And I said, come on, man, just drop it and come on with me, because you're going to get caught by the cops anyway, man. Do you really want to do this shit? And he said, fuck you, I'm out of here. You come at me, I'm going to stick your ass, right? Yeah. And I said, well, have fun. You know, 850 is not worth dying for. I'm sorry, man. You know.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, he had a weapon and was threatening me with it. You know, and he wouldn't de-escalate. And you know, they backed me up on that shit. You know, they called the cops, and you know, 2 hours later, he was back at the place, man.
Yeah.
And you know, whatever. You know, that was like you know, a lot of stuff goes through your mind, you know, when you got somebody, and the kid had an athletic build. He could quote the Bible like word for word, man. He was an interesting person, but he was definitely a career criminal in the making. And yeah, that pretty much scared the shit out of me. See, another one was at some point, my buddy, who I had roomed with, like, you know, we shared an apartment for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And he ended up, we were working at that same place, right? And then he ended up getting a job at a prison system. So we fixed it up where we could take like groups of these kids that were like definitely on a criminal path and take them into, you know, so they could go through the treatment center that they had set up inside the prison, which was run by inmates. It was the inmates that were doing all the treatment, you know, directed, of course, you know, by, you know, clinicians and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they call it therapeutic community. And so every once in a while, I would, I could take a van load of kids, males, they wouldn't let females go, um, because that we tried that one time and it just did not go good. Because the first place they take them is SEG, which is isolation for the, segregated, the really bad cases, right? And so they're all looking out the window going, come on, I'm going to eat your ass and shit, and I'm going to teach you how to love a man. And, all these kids are like going, oh my God. And then doing group therapy, with the inmates was really healthy for them, except for this one kid. Right. So, and always we come back and we do this thing, we do a recap and have a kind of like a group session to like, to process, what we experienced and kind of and do a debrief type thing. Right. And this kid, man, he said, I felt like I was at home. Really? And I'm like, really? He was, yeah, man, he was really into this, rap scene and shit. And he goes, yeah, man, I'm going to end up in prison. He just flat out said that to me. And I said, and you don't want to avoid that? You don't want to change your behavior? He goes, hell no. I want to end up in prison. And I'm like, okay. I never figured that shit out, man.
Huh.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean,
that's odd.
It's weird as shit.
And this is just strictly my Law and Order experience with that. It sounds like, one of those, it's like the episode where this guy copped to a murder and got arrested only because he wanted to make a rap career. And that's how he figured that would be a good way to start.
Oh, well, so was it a murder he didn't commit?
Yeah.
Okay. That's strange, isn't it, man? It's just people just want to seek to get into the system when they got an opportunity to avoid that shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. And the kid didn't have any psych problems or anything. I mean, obviously he had some type of antisocial shit, personality stuff going on.
Yeah.
But that was half the kids that were going through that system, man. And all the chicks were like, antisocials with fucking histrionic personalities, or, so they would try to flirt with you and shit, and they're 14-year-old girls. And it's like, man, look, kid, that shit ain't gonna work on me, Yeah. Or they would be, and really, I didn't have to work with many, females at that place, which I was, grateful for, because there was all kinds of, that was when, and it was really weird because there was this conference, right, where they started talking about these satanic shit that was happening in Tennessee and other states in the South and stuff. And all of a sudden, these people that I was working with were saying that they had, one or two patients that had been, in satanic cults and stuff. And it was clearly, they were implanting false memories in these kids, just for the sensationalism of it, and that clearly indicates what? That the counselors are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But of course, the lead person that was, I don't know, boss person. She just like was, she encouraged that shit, man. And of course, years later, it found out, that probably 99% of that shit never happened with all those people, man. And it was all just shitty counseling.
How long ago was that?
That was, I want to say I was there. Hold on, let me do the math. I want to say 95, maybe 94, 95.
That sounds about the time of the whole West Memphis 3 thing.
The what?
West Memphis 3.
Yeah. That was part of that deal too.
Yeah, because it's just from the story that I heard, it was just that these kids were Satan worshiping, whatever, just because they listened to heavy metal. And I guess back then, you didn't need much of a reason. It was these people are different, therefore, um, therefore Satan. Like, I wouldn't say exactly like the Columbine kids, but I mean, just because they look like it doesn't mean they are.
Yeah, I've got the wiki page pulled up on it, and this is exactly what it was. It was the satanic ritual abuse syndrome is what they called it, right? And this doctor had written this book and stuff and was doing all these seminars, and counselors had to do this to get continuing education, right? But and what it was that they were implanting these memories in these female patients that were supposedly when they were 2 years old, or when they were babies, that they were ritually abused and raped when they were prepubescent, and that shit never happened. And they didn't even think about checking to see if if there was their virginity was intact or anything. I mean, I hate to get all kind of gross that way, but I mean that we had doctors that were part of that deal and that could have been checked. But I would have been a sexist if I'd have brought that shit up. I mean, it was that was right when I noticed that the politically correct agenda was creeping into the psychiatric business.
Yeah.
And that was right when the self-esteem movement was hitting and stuff. Everybody had bad self-esteem, which isn't true. If you treat a kid that's got a normal upbringing, like they have had a poor self-esteem, you're going to create a malignant narcissist.
Yes.
At some point. So, that's why we nowadays, you see on fucking American Idol or something, you see these kids, go on, they can't sing a flip, man, can't sing worth a shit. And that British guy tells them that they suck, and they get all, they throw a fit and stuff and, tell them, well, my mom said I sounded great and shit. It's like, yeah, your mom's full of shit. She's your mom.
Yeah.
Hey, looks like we've got a.
Yes, we have. P-Dog.
Yep, it's me. Hey guys, I finally figured this damn thing out.
What's up, dude?
Hey, I'm doing well. What's up?
Well,
you guys hear me just fine?
Yo, dude, you sound great.
All right, great.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
You're just talking work horror stories from the. I had worked in the psych drug rehab / group home business at the end there. So,
no, I heard your stories, man. That's definitely a labor of love.
No shit,
to be able to do that.
Yeah, and occasionally, I will bump into a kid or something, that remembers me, that they're full grown and shit now and got families and stuff, so that, that's it was at the highest pay I was getting was like when I was a full-fledged counselor getting a counselor's pay. At I did the hourly rate and it was right at $13.25 an hour.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I'm sure you got some satisfying stories of guys who were successes out of that, though.
Yeah. That's what I was just I will to this day run into people that thank me for helping them and stuff. So, yeah, of course.
Right. That's got to be a rough business, though.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh yeah, it could definitely be emotionally tolling.
God, man. That's why you gotta, I had to do a lot. I had to stay in therapy. Um, and I recommend anybody that if you go to a therapist, ask them if they have a therapist, and if they say they don't need one, go to another therapist, because that's bullshit. You know, um, that's just from my experience as a counselor and my experience working with other counselors. Um, so anyway, that's so. Were you any kind of clinical business, P Dog?
Oh, no, no, no. I was in the mortgage business for a long time,
Oh, sweet.
and then lately I've been I run a basketball training business. I coach basketball basically for a living.
Sweet.
And then I
Nice.
work part time somewhere else to get benefits. And but and you get stories of kids. Most of my kids are their successes are if they've gone on to play basketball beyond high school or stuff like that. So, which I have a few of those.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I've been
So
telling my kids. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, that's all right. I unfortunately in that type of business, I don't necessarily have horror stories other than maybe dealing with crazy parents or referees or stuff like that. But so I'm unfortunately in something that's easy to love.
It's interesting because I would use basketball as a kind of a counseling technique, and I would take
Mhm.
a kid to the basketball. It was like a quarter court, right? And
Mhm.
and I would act like I couldn't. I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I would let the kid, like start shooting baskets and stuff, and then I would get them to try to show me how to do it, and then I would also counsel, and then like draw parallels between, you know, um, you know, improving their life skills and shit. It was a nice little tool, um, from that specific facility, because it was such a shitty place, with the shitty coworkers I had. The kids were the best part about it. I loved working with kids.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kids will connect you with you just because you are participating with something that they like.
Hmm.
And it's a anytime you can work with kids and have them connect with you, it's definitely very rewarding.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and especially in a field like mine where it's not kids, but you'll have well, a success story to me is we had a guy. I called him the fighting Irishman because he was uh, very lanky and pain in the ass, and he almost broke my nose a couple times. And when I was first training to work with him, people would just they would just let him do whatever, and then would gauge my response to it. And so he walked up to me and he was asking me questions, just stuff that I'm like, I don't know how to respond to this. So I'm just like, yeah, he'd normally ask if I liked waffles or if I liked um, Christmas trees and stuff like that, because those were his two obsessions. And he started brushing my shoulder. And I'm like,
Oh,
all right, so what do I do about this? And just when I thought, I'm like, maybe I'll try a redirect to an activity or something. And I just raised my hand a little bit, and he just went full on into my nose.
dude.
And he, started his whole behavioral breakdown. Um, Shuffled his way into the bathroom, which is uh, his calm down spot, really, and yelled a couple times. Came back like 5 minutes later and apologized. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And uh, my supervisor, the area supervisor, just sort of was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of figured that would have happened." I'm just like, "Then why did you let it happen?" Like, he's like, "Well, I thought you were gonna, see about, I was gonna see if you were gonna, respond the way you should, or if you, were just gonna be like, go do something else."
Oh,
A lot,
so he tested you into
Yeah.
getting a fucking bloody nose.
oh yeah, and
Awesome.
it was gushing out.
What fucking idiots, man. See,
And
that's the kind of people that get into administration in that business. Is people that are complete dicks or just completely idiots. It was more fun. I mean, I enjoyed the people that I was working with more than the people I was working for, if that makes any sense. In other words, the patients and okay, and some of the staff,
yeah, me and my coworker, when and he didn't like women, so. And one of the ladies that was training me, like they really didn't get along. And so once she transferred to a different area, his behaviors dropped from, like, I guess he was having at least 2 or 3 a day to at least 3 a week. And they're just like, well, and we didn't run it the way we were technically supposed to run it. We kept it, like, we know you're at work and we wanted to make work at least partially fun. So we kind of just weren't as on everyone as as other people were training us to. And so, yeah, we pretty much just keep things casually. Yeah, we talk to them like we talk to our friends. Just we're never, you go do that, you sit down, and you do this, and we're just, hey, what do you say we do this? And he's like, all right.
Well, the question is though, were you getting results that way? Were you getting response that way?
Oh, yeah.
If you were, then you should be able to show them that,
Yeah, but they were strictly by the book types, and it was like, well, you're not technically following the sequences and all that stuff. I'm like, who gives a shit about sequences? I'm not getting my nose broken daily. Like, he's not just off and punching people just because he can. He's actually, he's. I mean, he still has had his frustrated moments where he just walk up and punch one of the other guys in the top of the head. And I mean, there are days when, like, it was to the point where we could tell when it was going to happen. Like, we could read it.
right.
And it was mostly because when they went from the group home to us, either they rushed him or there was something going on there that he was just like, I'm not taking these people. Like, and yeah, it was, once we got him, like that, and yeah, pretty much his days were easy. Like, if the worst thing we had to deal with was a hat being thrown, then by all means, And yeah, it went from him punching at least two or three other clients, and setting them off almost like it was a chain reaction, to him just screaming. So I took that as a victory.
Go
Go ahead.
agree. It sounds like a victory. I mean, I mean, like you said, sometimes it's about getting results, and I know some people are bean counters and they have this procedure and that procedure, but sometimes you can say, look, here's the results we're getting by doing this a certain way, and are you impacting someone's life in a positive way? And so, I know I can't stand people who just well, this is our procedure. You have to do this dot dot dot.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really weird, man, because you would think that the liability aspect of the situation would have a person, like if you had a volatile person that was known for striking other people and shit, you would have a system in place to where you could either de-escalate the person or at least restrain them. Because is this that just not possible?
Yeah. We have we learned the MANT system, which is de-escalation until crisis mode, and then hey Jack.
Oh hey, sorry I'm late.
That's
Dean
right.
motherfucking Jack Cochran. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Jack.
How you doing? All right.
Good, brother. How you doing?
I just got up from an unplanned nap. One of them that we get when we're old now.
Yeah, one of them easy chair naps, man.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just gonna sit down for a minute. Nope, that was 2 hours ago.
You blink and it's the end of the day.
Oh man, I hate getting old, but I do kind of like those naps.
Yeah, I just came from a nap too, but mine was because I was had a healthy night of drinking with some college buddies last night. So
yeah, that sounds more fun than mine.
Yeah, mine too.
So, sorry, my presence interrupted the flow of conversation here.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Where was I even?
You were talking about you had something in place like for de-escalation, and then if that went into crisis.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty much a way to keep, it's like a hostage negotiation type thing where keep the client calm until you hit that crisis mode, and then there's not necessarily restraints, but kind of like a way to safely, instead of them putting their head through the wall or whatever, or put you through the wall, you can kind of put them to where they're safely in a different area where they can't hurt people. Like if, say, this guy were to haul off and try to punch one of the other guys, we would have to step in and then kind of do that restraint. And then, although they don't like the term restraint.
Oh, what do they call it now?
Well, we just call it manting.
Oh, okay. So you use the acronym for the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Well, the guy's name was Mant.
Okay.
That developed it.
Well, see, back in the day, man, they taught us some kind of I think it was it Aikido? It was some type of martial art type of methods of grabbing people and then holding them to restrain them, basket holds and shit like that. And then, they didn't fuck around, man. They put them in 4-point restraints or 3 points and shit. And a 4-point restraint is where your arms and your legs are tied down. And at 5-point, of course, is where your head's immobilized.
Yeah.
Where'd P-Dog go?
He's jumping in and out.
Yeah, that's fucking Google has been doing that all weekend to different people. So I wouldn't take it personal. He's back. All right.
Yeah. I was trying to watch Ranting Monkey and Satsu yesterday, and like it would keep buffering, and then they would start talking about something, and I would throw out a joke, and come to find out that joke was 2 minutes ago. So I'm just throwing out this weird, like obscure reference from like 2 minutes before, and they're talking about something. They've already moved on to the next topic.
I've done that.
Yeah, that's just been happening all weekend. I was telling them, P-Dog, that for some reason people are dropping out of Hangouts and shit, getting bumped out and then having to come back in. It happened to Sir Adamantine, and he was hosting the fucking video.
Actually, before I started the stream, it happened to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Before I even started it.
Google's fucking up, man. Sub counts are like are all over the place. Weibo was talking about that last night.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure. This is the first time I actually used Hangouts for this stream. The only other streams I've been on Discord, so I didn't even know that. I'm like, wait, what the hell would happen here?
Yeah, I've been using Discord too. It's just so much easier. And then I figured out the audio part. How you doing, Jack?
Well, I'm doing great now. I got this killer nap. Middle of the day. I haven't done anything all day.
Yeah.
I was moving bricks earlier, which is why I took a nap. But
God damn.
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. Yeah, me and my brother took a chimney down at his house, and it was probably 1,000 pounds of bricks. So that was probably the leading cause of my inadvertent nap. So again, I'm sorry for that. I don't like to show up late to things.
That's fine. I used to dig ditches for my dad. He's a water well driller. And so he would have me dig these, well, depending on how long and how hard the dirt was. Used to be, I think the shortest one I've ever done was about a 10-foot, kind of like 10 feet, and it was only like maybe a half a foot deep. And there's also ones where he's had me go like a full foot deep and like 20 feet. And I felt like I was digging through rock. Like it was so dry in that part of the dirt. And I'm like, I gotta get a chisel.
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah, and it was, not fun.
That sounds awful.
But he let me use the tools, and I later broke his foot. So, no, that was a real fun one because he worked with my uncle at the time, and I mean, I guess he was kind of my uncle, and he'd always give me a really hard time. Like he had one of those, like, rock solid grips, and so anytime you shake his hand, he's like, you have to at least overpower his grip.
Yeah,
and his hand is like 3 times the size of mine, so like I'm just sticking my hand in there and it's just crunch. And he was like, oh no, you gotta shake my hand. I'm like, I can't even grab your hand. And like it is he pissed my mom off all the time. So it was I think he did it just to be a dick. Well, and he was. But and so like we're all moving like this lead, like super thick lead pipe, and I'm having a real hard time unloading this pipe, and he's like, oh, you gotta put some back in it and don't be a pussy. And I'm like, I'll show you. And I threw the pipe back, and it fell on my dad's foot. And then he's like, okay, well, that didn't need to happen. and so me, I feel bad, and my uncle's laughing, and so we're taking this other pipe and we're loading that up, and my dad starts pushing this other stuff in, and I grab it, and because some of it's got because he welds it,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's catching on some weld spots, so it's not getting loaded up properly. So I pick up the pipe, and he pushes it, and it throws my hand into the back of the truck. So he separates my ring finger.
Oh my God!
Damn.
So it was just real poor timing. It was supposed to be this pick it up a little bit, and I just wrenched it up, and he pushed it forward, and it was just a missile into punching a wall, essentially. Only being crushed by a pipe after that. And so my uncle's laughing even harder, and my dad's foot broke, my hands broke, might as well be. And so we're moving this other batch of pipe, and I'm using my left arm, and I have no arm strength as it is, so I'm just kind of umphing this pipe off the thing, and he's like, don't be a pussy, you can do this, and I ripped it off the thing again, and it broke his foot.
Holy shit!
And so we go to after we're done, he's like, yeah, we're fucking done with this shit. We're just done. And we get to the bar, and my hand's all wrapped up, and my dad's gimping on one leg, my uncle's gimping on the other, and my stepmom just looks at us and goes, "What the fuck happened to you guys?" And we're like, "Bar fight."
Now, clearly, that was a potato sack race gone wrong.
It was, yeah.
Is your family? I was gonna say, is your family Irish, Johnny?
That side of the family, not really. It's my stepdad.
Gotcha.
Is the Waldro. My real father lives in Washington, and he is half Irish, half Native American.
Gotcha.
And then my mom's side is, hey, there's Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man. Holy shit, we're finally streaming together.
Hi, Pat. What's up, brother?
What's going on now? Sorry if my audio is feeling kind of jacked up. I busted my headphones a couple of weeks ago and wait for them to come in, so I'm speaking through my just tablet right now.
Sounded fine, man.
No, and I just woke up from a nap, so I'm like, ugh, it's been a long day.
Me too.
Everyone's taking naps.
It's nap day, man. Shit,
Yeah.
I missed out.
Hey,
It's Sunday.
Sunday's the official nap day.
That's
It's because there's no football.
Yeah, today was my cheat day. I was reading SDA's book. I watched a little Witch Hunter Robin. Next thing I know, I went to sleep. When I woke up, I saw the little stream right here. Like, oh, what am I missing?
Well, your day was already pretty good.
Hey, Johnny. Just a quick question. You just said you're a real dad. Are you adopted?
No, my real dad and mom divorced when I was 3.
Oh, okay.
And so we moved to Montana, and she bumped into my stepdad, an old high school sweetheart, and then they got together, and we grew up in a tiny little Unabomber town.
No, I was just curious because I am adopted, so I was just wondering if that was a story or not.
Oh, wow. Uzi Q's adopted. My wife.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. No, hey, man. Absolute blessing in my life.
Indeed. She feels the same way. It's good.
P.O., what's up?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Nothing but. Like I said, you gonna team up when we go out the Rand Monkey and the rest of the boneless wings eaters?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So, all right, I'll bring it up. The Monday Matt and Cog thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Like so, Cog thought he takes a 15-minute thing with Monday Matt and Medicare. Here's the mistake he made, man. I think is he monetized it and then he put a mid roll in it, right? Mid rolls where the video stops and then you have to watch another fucking 5-second thing that before you skip the ad. I hate those things, by the way. And
Yeah.
so and then Matt flagged him, right? And
Mhm.
I don't know. I think the mistake he made was he just should have gone to him. A Cognitive shouldn't have monetized it or done the mid roll thing on it. I don't think. And B Matt should have said, "Dude, take it down, or I won't flag you." Right?
That's
Right.
what everybody's basically saying. It's like a lot of people are saying that Matt was within his right to do what he did, but they just said, he wished that he would just went to COG first and just did it like that instead of just, flagging like I did.
Yeah.
Did he ever remove the flag at least, or did he give Cog a chance to take it down?
I don't know.
I've heard no.
Okay.
Cog was streaming for like forever the other day, and he said somewhere in there that Matt was willing to take the strike back, but still screwed up his account or something.
Right.
Well, I think because I remember watching that stream and it was it's such a long stream I couldn't find it if I wanted to. It sounded like someone said that Mundane Matt was willing to take the flag down, but when Cog checked it, the flag was still there.
Well, it looks like Cognitive Thought is streaming at this very moment.
Of course he is.
So apparently, things are at least back to where you can stream. So, I mean that if you get bopped and you can't stream for 3 months, it's like that can hurt. That'll hurt you really bad. So,
Well, especially as
That's
much
about
as he
3
streams.
minutes where it's at right now.
yeah, well, that's how most of the the money making YouTubers, they had to switch to streaming, man, because that's the only way they can, equate the income that they were getting through the pre-apocalypse thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even coming close. I don't even think they're like making maybe 3/4 of what they were when they were running ads and shit. But it's like that doesn't matter to me. I'm kind of glad I came in late, because I think it's given me a sense of like freedom about my, you know what I'm saying, about my streaming and subject matter that I'm covering and stuff. I did an interview with this classical composer the other day, and I would have never thought about doing that in my life. If I had to make money, with the crowd or something, I'd been compelled to do something more politically more oriented or something. You know what I'm saying? So so that was really a cool thing. And I'm going to be doing this art thing with paintings and Sir Adamantine at first, and I may try to get other people to do it with too. So I'm going in places I never thought I would, which is kind of fun. I'm having fun, man.
Yeah, I've really struggled with the whole just what I want to do with the channel, and I've made videos here and there and haven't posted anything. And I originally I came in when you could monetize things even if you didn't have a lot of views, but I'm like, I'm so small right now that I think if my total would have been 3 cents on the old way. So I'm not, now I'm just trying to think, okay, what do I want to do with this? Why am I on here? And so yeah, that's a struggle I'm sure everyone goes through.
Well, Pat's the baller of the bunch now. He knows what's going on.
Well, right now, even with my channels, like I've reached that point where it's like, when I started out, I was talking about feminists, SJW, Black Lives Matter, just basically giving my opinion on a whole lot of things. And now I just reached that point where I'm like, well, I done basically said everything that really needs to be said about these issues. Like I
Right.
see them, I see all these things going on, and I pretty much it's just like it sounds like me repeating myself over and over. It's like I
Right.
still give my opinions on a lot of things, and that's what I basically now. I just basically sit back and I observe a lot of issues. Like by the time I drop down a video, all the popular YouTubers done already talked about it, and it's really like nothing new. But I just sit up here and I just like give my opinions on certain things, and I pretty much got kind of burned out about it, and I'm trying to like try other new things like this new channel I got right now. Where I'm basically just trying to have fun, but I'm still experimenting with that. But that's what it is. Like how you said, I'm just basically having fun with it. It's not really a money making thing or nothing like that to me. I just want to have fun, try to get everybody else entertained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my son and I were talking about it, and we were thinking about doing like sort of a game stream type thing together because he's really into Pokemon and trying to get me into it, and I don't like it. So, like, he's always like, I can't remember any of the things' names. Like, there's a couple, but it's, and so I thought about doing sort of like a one where like I'm playing one of the Pokemon games, and I'm just gonna gutter it, and he's just gonna spend the entire time just berating me because I'm not doing things right, because just to make it kind of humorous for him.
As long as you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I really can't say much. I do my laundry.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, dude, that's a brilliant thing. Because that's just the kind of stuff that it's like I've been running these. I don't know if you've seen any of my recent streams or anything, but I've been running these backgrounds with all the psychedelic shit and stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, you like it, man?
Yeah, I think it's cool.
All right, cool,
Yeah,
man. Like, I'm getting some feedback on it, so it's like, and it's been consistently good. So, and there's a couple of guys that they'll so it's like I'm real happy with it. Pat, I just finished watching Berserk, the 3 Berserks.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Netflix. Have you seen that manga? I mean, the anime.
I haven't checked it out yet. Like I said, I think the last anime I've seen on Netflix was Devilman Crybaby,
Oh yeah,
and I got a whole giant K, just just set up. It's like when I get the chance to look at it. Like right now, I'm on YouTube watching Witch Hunter Robin and all that right there. Like I think before this, I was watching Last Exile.
Actually, I was kind of hoping to get a hold of you, to eventually get a hold of you, Irate, because I watched your review of Full Metal Alchemist,
yeah.
and I was really content with it because I wanted to do kind of a movie review thing, but sort of like look at it from someone who's never seen like the anime.
Right.
And I was like, I watched it and I'm like, yeah, I kind of like it. And then I watched your review, and then all the stuff that you pointed out that you're like, I don't know what this guy's about. I don't know what that guy's about. And I'm like,
I know, man.
I'm like, fuck this movie.
It was confusing as hell, man. It was.
Oh yeah, they did make a movie about that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm telling you, according to the manga people will tell you that everything sucks, that the anime sucks, that the live action sucks, right? And and then the anime people will say that the live action stuff sucks. And like, see, I haven't seen the anime part like of Attack on Titan, but I liked that, man. I thought it was just weird as fuck, and I kind of dug it, right? I've seen the live action and the anime versions of Death Note, all of them, and I like the Japanese live action stuff.
Hit you right there. I like the Japanese one compared to what they did on Netflix not too long ago. I'm like, oh hell no.
What they should, you know, man, I know what they should have done was just create a new kid and not try to do the light thing. And you know what I'm saying? And instead of what was it, L, you know, have a different, you know, just kind of have a different kind of a situation, man, because that works, you know, because the book can go to anybody. So anyway,
well, they stripped away what made the characters the characters.
Exactly.
And like they made Elle just a whiny little bitch, and they made Light just this pussy whipped fucking
angsty, like flunking out of, man, the Light,
Whoa.
man.
Whoa. No, they didn't make him angsty. They didn't make him whiny and pussy. They detoxified him. They took all the toxic masculinity out of the characters and made them what a committee seemed to think would sell. And of course, it means it's garbage.
Well, I mean, because the first thing he does, like when she pretty much confronts that he's Kira, he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I am. I'm like, because like once she says that she's attracted to Kira, he is already like, okay, yeah, it's me. And it's like, dude, no, like that's not how it's supposed to work.
Right. And in the movie, I mean, in that version, I ended up liking the chick a lot better. See, Light Yagami, man, is good at tennis. He was in law school. I mean, shit, man, the dude was smart, and he was like a jock and shit. He was the exact opposite of the kid.
He was like a super
and he didn't cower like a pussy when what's his name, Ryuk appears to him, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that dude just about shit himself and yelled like a little girl. What do you think, Pat? You know?
God, I don't even know what to say about that motherfucker. Like when I even think about this, God, what the fuck is this, man?
I know, man.
But the Japanese version of the movie, it's
like when I thought about the Japanese version and how they made this right here, I'm just right here kind of like comparing the two. I'm like, yeah, Light was not this much of a bitch, man, and Elle, I'm just like, what the fuck? Because I'm thinking about the Japanese version, like I say, you know, like Light, you know, hell, once he got that damn book in his hand, shit, that motherfucker just developed into a badass all along, and you know, like Elle, you know, just smart as a motherfucking whip and shit like that, but. On this one, he was just a big ass pussy. I'm like, what the?
Well, he was real emotional, yeah, man. And it was like, you know, because like Elle was supposed to be like Mr. Spock or some, you know, emotionless, you know, thinker, you know, thinking
cool and collective.
Exactly, man. And you know, and he's flipping out, driving a car and shit.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then even
like
when
like he was always like one step ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then in the anime, he was always like, even when he saw that he knew that he was going to die, he always was calm. Like he was always centered.
But in this new version, man, he was a puss.
Men have to show emotions.
Poor Netflix.
I don't know. With Netflix, sometimes it's hit and miss. You know, like hell.
I agree.
They did good with Castlevania. I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait till they make motherfucking season 2. If they don't, man, I'm gonna kill somebody. Nah, I cannot say that.
Castlevania was so.
I already tried.
See, I haven't seen that yet.
You haven't seen it? Oh man,
I really liked Altered Carbon. Have y'all caught that yet?
Not yet.
That's a good. That's got some titties in it too, man. That is a good fucking series. It's really good. It's just crazy sci-fi shit, like you kind of Blade Runner-y, but better. I think.
I know. It's like the same with Devilman Crybaby. The only reason I felt so guilty watching that is because, you know, like everybody who got naked in that motherfucker was a teenager.
Yeah.
Oh really? Yeah.
I'm sorry. What's that? I heard teenage titties and
teenage everything. You got teenagers blowing each other and fucking all that shit.
Sounds like my Japanese movie collection.
I say, yep.
Have y'all seen that one where it's like it's like a high school obsessed with gambling, and this chick like gets sexually like off when she gambles and shit? I can't remember the name of that, man, but
I saw the ad for it.
yeah, let me look it up. It was so weird. I said, "Holy shit, I might have to see that."
I don't know. Anybody remember that anime? What was it called? Ikitusen or something like that?
Say that again. What was that?
Ikitusen or something like that. I don't.
Oh, I think I knew what you're talking about.
It was basically like an anime about, like all the females. I don't know. It was just a bunch of, a bunch of panty shots and shit like that. I think the director, he had like an underwear fetish or some shit.
Well, that's like
Every time they show with the women, man, it's like, yeah, they show more panty shots than any damn thing. When they kicking, draws. When they doing anything, draws. Like,
well, that's like Sekirei. Sekirei is like they do a fight scene and clothes start to tatter, and I'm like, why am I not surprised?
I don't know. It's like one about. I think the girl name was like Hakafu.
Yeah, that's called Kakegurui.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I can hardly pronounce the Japanese name.
Yeah, no
like,
shit, dude. And it's and I don't mind like reading like subtitles and shit. But for expedience sake, I did use the dub thing on the Berserk this week. But I thought that was I liked it. I actually did. So I don't know if this is supposedly a sequel. So I don't know. I'm going to go over it with Brian. There's some shit that's kind of homoerotic stuff in the first movie, which I thought was interesting. Because you don't usually see a lot of that. I haven't seen it, a lot of it. I'll put it that way. And is that a thing?
What now?
In anime, like homoerotic type stuff, kind of gay but not gay. It's like
it's mostly like incest stuff.
I'm sorry, gay but not gay.
Right, like, the ambiguously gay duo, that kind of thing. It's like there's if you see the first Berserk movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because like there's this one person like I thought was a woman, right? And then the person starts talking and it's a guy's voice, and it was like, oh, weird, okay. So and it really took like a whole movie for me to get used to that shit. So
oh yeah,
have you
like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and the movie's about an hour and a half long each, except for the second one's like almost 2 hours. But it's kind of medieval. There's a little I don't know. There's some of the armor and stuff kind of doesn't match the time, but I mean, that's historic shit that they've done that in TV shows and movies and shit. So that don't bother me. What bothers me, like historically, is shit like German war stuff, and tanks and shit. That'll piss me off. I know, man. I was like,
if you ever get a chance, you gotta watch Castlevania, man. It's like compared to like the game, they are jumping up to like adding the characters. I think the only character I haven't seen, on there is basically like Grant. They got Alucard, they got Sifa.
Alucard. You know what, man? I think I watched the first episode of that. That looked good, man. Oh yeah, I think I did.
I was just disappointed that it was full in the 4 episodes.
Yeah, I think they basically did it to like try out, just see how people were going to get into it, and once they got like the positive feedback, they're like, oh yeah, we gotta do this again.
We got a winner, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. So it's like just 4 episodes.
Yep,
Yeah.
like 23-minute episodes, and it's like it's basically it's a teaser. It's just like once you get through them, you're like, man, come on, man, y'all gotta give us more. Come on, like
Sounds like
they
a
don't
cock
hold
feed.
they don't hold back on it, man.
Oh, cool, man. I'll definitely check that then. Just I might do that and talk about that on the, and contrast it with Berserk.
That's what it basically was. Like if they did have any negative feedback, it was just like people were just upset because it was just only 4 episodes.
Wasn't
Like,
enough
how you
of it.
give us something this sweet and not enough.
Right. Man.
So how about you? How are you guys with going back to the topic of the stream? Any work-related horror stories?
Not on my part. I work in the kitchen, and you would think, like, me working in the kitchen, that somebody else slice a finger off or something like that. But I've been pretty much safe.
That's good. Yeah, you listen to the beginning of it. I told a couple of horror stories. My old job, man. I worked with like psychiatric / treatment, drug treatment shit with adolescents for a while and stuff. A kid pulled a toothbrush on me. It was like he had ground it with his teeth. I know it's like he threatened me with the toothbrush, but he had ground it with his teeth to a sharp point, like a shiv and shit.
His teeth, you could do that with the sole of your shoe. You don't use your teeth.
Well,
Amateur hour.
But that was
Mark, you're crazy.
check it out, man. The dude was doing it in front of everybody all day long, in that part of where he was at in the place, right? And nobody even figured it out. Yeah. So,
dude, I'm sorry I laughed, but
no, it's funny. It's fucking funny, man.
I heard the story before because I was listening to the stream when you told that story, but I'm just thinking about what they're thinking when you said, "Oh man, I was at work and this kid pulled a toothbrush on me." I'm like, that motherfucker pulled a toothbrush on me. Not knowing that had to sound crazy at first.
Oh man. No.
I'm gonna get those canines, motherfucker.
Shit, man.
Oh man.
Did you work for the Plaque Patrol? Like, I saw those old press commercials.
Yeah, that's great.
Next thing you know, I got a bottle of mouthwash crammed down my throat.
Oh, dude, man.
I don't know. Maybe it's that thing on Codenames Kids Next Door. What do they call them?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Nightbreed.
Oh, that was such a long time ago.
Are you talking about the disclosing tablets?
No, they was the code name Kid Next Door.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I used to work in a facility similar to what Ray describes, and we always had restraints to do and stuff like that. And one time I had to restrain this little mentally retarded kid. He was like 12, and he'd try and kiss you, and he was really gross. So to avoid his face, because he had a big bulbous head, I ended up moving my face to the left, and he headbutted me, and then my hands slipped up from the basket hold and went into his armpits where there was like this cottage cheese substance.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was the most, I almost puked the second I felt it on my hand. But
I'm sorry.
So I would have vomited right on his head. And he was bad enough, he smelled really bad because, it was from not showering or whatever.
Right.
So I'm trapped in this little room where we do the restraints, the timeout room. And we're trying to get him to where we can get out of the room and do a secluded timeout. And the girl I was with looked at me and she saw my face and she's like, okay. So she got up and left the room. And I was there alone. It was horrible. You ever try and not vomit on a little kid while your hand is in their disgusting armpits.
And your coworker
Uh,
abandoned you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you-
Welcome to
Jack,
my world.
do you
God
want
damn.
do you want
Oh,
the
yeah.
short answer to your question? No, I have not. I've never been in it. No.
It's a unique experience, I assure you.
Yes, it is.
I would have hurled on that motherfucker, man.
Oh, it was so close to it. I only vomited once, and that's because I got punched in the gut by a 16-year-old who was like 250 pounds, and it was one of those fight for your life situations. And I puked, and we kept on fighting. It was hardest I've ever been punched in my life.
Good God.
Mm.
Yeah. That's when I just like say, I back up and, it's my life ain't worth it. You know?
Especially when dealing with a situation like that, where it's like, hey, they do something to you and you want to knock them upside the head, but you know you can't.
Right, man, because, man, your ass will get fucking fired. You know?
I
It's
actually
a liability.
got cleared on that one. The cops had to come out because I did end up punching him. Because no restraint was going to work on somebody that size. And he was trying to rape one of my coworkers in the kitchen. So
Yeah, that's a big no.
yeah, that was a bad day. We were the only two adults in the whole building too. Everybody else had gone home.
Wow.
And he was in the residential facility as
Yeah,
part of it.
Well, they always wait till all the staff go home to do the crazy shit.
Yeah, like the food.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna die. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever been through. But only walked out with a couple bruised ribs and a black eye, a couple bite marks, and yeah, the cops had to come out. It was a whole disaster.
Yeah, I got clocked by a kid hit me in the back of the head with a chair.
Oh, been there. That sucks.
Yeah, no shit. I woke up for looking at carpet.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like I had to go to the hospital and shit. And they told me that I needed to be back the next day.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
And I'm like, fuck you. I'm taking the day off. You know, I was like, and I dared them to fire me. I literally did, man. I dare you to fire me. And they didn't.
If you want to hear kind of a funny story, we had a kid try and kill himself by tying long johns around his neck and then trying to flush him down the toilet. And they just came off because you only tied it once, and it clogged up the toilet. And the maintenance guy had to come out, and he was out there for 12 hours trying to get these long johns out of the toilet.
Oh,
He
jeez.
had to take the whole toilet off and get into the plumbing.
God, think that would work?
Well, kids are kind of dumb, so
Yeah, you know, yeah.
I'll give him credit for originality. That was right up there.
I can only imagine the suction value on that toilet.
Yeah, it was one of those big industrial ones, you know.
But what did you think he was going to do? Drown himself? Just stick your head in it. It's not
Right?
it's not like you're going to flush yourself down the toilet.
Maybe he had a fear of drowning, though.
That's just crazy.
Man.
No, we just actually had a client pass away recently, and the option was to either have me watch her in the final moments, or to have a poll come. And I'm like, well, who do they want to come? And they're just like, oh, it's this gal from this group home. And I'm like, I'll stick around. There's no way in hell. Because the last time this gal came in to watch a client, he was in the ICU, and he had a catheter involved, and like his lungs were collapsing and everything. And he would take any option to rip out like IVs, the catheter, like just hulk it out.
Oh my.
And so like he was like just any opportune moment he had to go for it, he was going to go for it. And she was supposed to watch him, And she went in and just sat in the chair and passed out. And so when I came in the next day, and he goes, the doctor comes to me, and the doctors are supposed to do that stuff anyway. The doctors and nurses are supposed to take care of everything anyway. We're just there for added set of eyes and hands, in case they need help. And he goes in and he goes, "So are you going to be sleeping the entire night too?" And I just sort of looked at him like, "No." Like, this guy's kind of a pain in the ass, so we gotta keep an eye on this catheter. And he goes, "Oh, well, the lady that was here yesterday, they came in and did a full bed change, and even like bumped her seat,
And didn't even wake her up.
She didn't even budge."
Jesus.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we'll let them know."
Wow.
And it's bad when like the doctors are complaining about that. Because I mean, like, every moment that he had a chance to grab the catheter, which couldn't have felt pretty to begin with.
No.
But yeah, that's. But yeah, so they wanted this lady to sit there and watch the client while she was passing away, and I'm like, no, I'll stick around. I worked with her for the entire time I was there. I've been there 17 years collectively, and I'm like, I've been working with her long, so I'll stick around, and they can work without me for a bit. And in the final moment, like, she had been wasting away, so like it wasn't going to be long. And so when me and the assistant manager of the group home I work at were there, and we were kind of just like, she was feeling down about it, and I was feeling down about it, and so I was like, we're making all these death jokes, really, just about. Because like her breathing would get like really, really shallow, and then she would just jump out of it, and then her breathing would be normal, and then it would and she did that for a good 6 hours. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to write a program that you're going to follow. You will die with 100% accuracy over the next couple hours. And the manager's kind of giggling about it. And we're just like, yeah, won't you just go? Because you are obviously fucking miserable. And we're kind of talking to her, like casual, and she's just sitting there, like she's non-responsive. Like, completely just gone. And we finally noticed that she's stopped breathing. So we went and got the nurses, and they did the whole, they do the stethoscope, and so they check for the heartbeat, and they're like, well, her heartbeat's really faint right now, so yeah, within the next minute she'll probably pass. And then she goes to check her lungs to see if she's still breathing. And just then, the gal jumped out of it. Just full back, just coughing and just back to breathing normally. And the nurse jumps into the arms of the assistant manager. And I jump back. And I have in that fight, flight, or freeze, I have a flight, but when I'm backed in the corner, it turns fight, and so I cock up like I'm gonna punch her, and so they see me, and I'm just like getting ready because I'm thinking like Walking Dead shit going on now.
Yeah.
And so and then it was like about a little bit later, she had finally passed. And yeah, it was definitely something different to experience in that kind of job.
Yeah, it's depressing.
It's never fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an experience.
Am I the only one who got kicked out and came back in again?
Yeah.
Looks like Irate's gone too.
Yeah, he took off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my guy.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
because I know they were saying like earlier, like Google was kind of doing some bullshit where it's like people being streamed and all of a sudden they fucking just glitch out.
It seems to happen a lot to people.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done any streaming with anyone else, but I mean, the test stream went by pretty well, but the other one, this one, you've been dropping.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I might be too far from my router too.
Yeah,
so I'm in the opposite end of my house.
That helps with me. Like if I go like too far into like the other side of the house, just lose bars and just know everything. Just that's what a robot begins.
You're not on that Canadian internet, are you?
Oh, no.
I'm too far south.
I have good old-fashioned American internet.
Oh, good.
So I finally had to think about a horror story. It's not in my current career, but back when I was a mortgage banker, and so I don't. No one tried to beat me up or hit me with a toothbrush, but I had a client who came in. She wanted to refinance her house and take some cash out, and she had. As I'm looking through her file, her credit wasn't very good. And she had already just recently taken a ton of money out of her house, and I was trying to figure out, what you always try to figure out what their purpose is and if it's going to be beneficial to them or if it's just going to make it worse for them. And so she started telling me the story that she had gotten an email. From a person in Nigeria, and she was trying to help this guy get some money out of the country because he was being persecuted.
Oh God!
And she had been wiring she'd been wiring this guy money for 9 months.
What?
Holy cow!
$10,000-$12,000 at a time because they're trying to and she's telling me how the first time it was just we had to pay for some paperwork with the attorney and every single time she gave me a list of times she sent them money, and she had sent them over over $100,000 so far.
Wow.
And she had never heard it's called in Nigeria they call it the 419 scam because it's there's a statute that's statute 419 that it's illegal there. Even they prosecute people over there for doing it. But she had been sending this guy money for months, and she's like, it's so close. We just need this one last transaction of $25,000, and I need to take it out of my house. It was heartbreaking to tell her the story of what that is because I had studied up on it, and so we finally were just trying to help her. I told her what it was about, and she was just stunned that she'd been sending all this money, and so I said, I'll do whatever I can to try to help you figure out if we can find this guy and prosecute. And so I was making phone calls and stuff and trying to tell them, hey, yeah, you know what? Yes, we're trying to help her refinance the house so we can get you that money. If can you give me any information about you? But he was slick and just, we never got the information. And it trashed her credit. She had all the equity. Her house basically was gone. And man, that was a hard lesson. I'd never heard of anyone falling for that.
Yeah.
I remember getting those emails all the time.
Like you look online, you see a whole lot of stories, and it's like, you're just like, oh my God, how can somebody fall for that? But it's very common because, like I said, the people they're dealing with are so damn slick.
Yeah, and they got that carrot of, we got to take out $43 million. We're going to give you 10%. And you get that. Oh, I'm going to get $4 million on this. But no, it's an old scam, and it's funny. I haven't seen one. I used to get those stupid emails all the time, and I don't see them anymore. And I have family in Nigeria, so I'm like, and they're like, yeah, man, they're cracking down on that.
Yeah, the last place you want to end up is a Nigerian prison.
Oh man, yeah, but it's spread out to a lot of the countries right around this. The one that we were dealing with, it wasn't actually Nigerian. They were actually in Sierra Leone, but that's
Just
where they were doing the scam from. Yeah, no, yeah, it just was, man.
Yeah, I'm like, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah.
No, that's the truth.
This is why I don't check my email, because there's always some nonsense I don't want to deal with. Like email.
My parents keep getting these phone calls that are like, hey, it's your granddaughter. Can you send me some money because we need help? And we're just like, and my stepdad, he's always planning for it, but every time it hits him, he's just like, yeah, you're not. And he's like, oh, he had this whole thing worked out to where he's gonna try and see about how much information they knew about him, just to see if they were just talking out of their ass, or if it was. But yeah, and I've even caught it, and I'm just like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
My dad had a great response to one of those. They called and said they were, oh, it's your niece, blah blah, and he's like, oh, really? I haven't heard you since you died. They were like, what? How'd you recover from that suicide? And it was, wow, they had no response to that.
Yeah, that's when you go into detail, just as more of a detail as possible until they hang up the phone.
Yeah, but those scams work on people, and preying on old people, man, there's a special place in hell for you.
Yeah, there's a few stories like that are just like, how can you live with yourself?
Yeah.
Greed, man. When motherfuckers get that in them, shit, they don't care.
That's true. But Nigerian prince scam, wow. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, this was. I've been out of that business for about 10 years, but that was the worst one. I mean, there's all kinds of stories, man. People how they mess up their lives and their credit and shit. But there's some, a lot of it. One of the reasons I got out of it, it's funny. I got out of that business about a year and a half before everything went to shit in 2008, 2009. I left the business in 2007. And I was seeing stuff that, man, what did this last guy do for you other than to rip you off? Or I see people, trying to just take out way more than they could afford, and it was sad because the government was kind of pushing us to do that too. It's like, they're trying to get, all these emerging markets, and they were loosening up some of the lending guidelines are making up programs where so that you get incentives for doing loans in like low income census tracts, and it's almost reverse redlining. And they're like trying to get loans in these areas, and they were making the guidelines just too ridiculous, and it didn't stick to the lending principles. And so I just saw this mess coming, man.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't incentivize people to get further into debt. It's
Right.
not. Nobody wins with that.
And they made it so easy. But then again, like when I would sit down with people, I would say, look, here's what the normal guidelines are. Here's how much you're going to be spending a month. Just because it says you can take out this much, you don't want to take out the most you can. You want to stay within your budget. But I wouldn't let people do that. But there are other loan officers out there just trying to make a buck, and then they would just stretch people out, and then I'd come back. I'd have people come to me who were, paying 60% of their income on their housing.
Wow.
And they're like, did they not tell you how much you were going to be paying a month when you did this? But you're like, well, they said we qualified for it. Yeah, well,
you can qualify for a lot of money. It doesn't mean you're able to afford it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you want to. It doesn't mean you want to spend that much. Unless you know that your income's gonna, if you're an intern or whatever, and now you're getting hired, and your income's gonna triple, but not in that kind of case. It was it was just terrible, man.
Yeah, I know a couple guys that lost their house because they got way in over their head, and they had the adjustable rate mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And when it adjusted, they just were completely underwater. And they have houses way beyond what they could afford. And of course, they lost it. And I was like, "What were you thinking?" But yeah, it's sad.
Housing market is bad enough as it is.
Yeah.
Well, now it's rebounding a lot. I noticed even when we're getting ready to do some work on our house, and so we took out a loan, and I'm just like, damn, the appraisal, our house has gone up a lot in the last year, just because the market where I'm at is really getting heated. But again, then I'm hearing, some of the same things you hear in the news where they're talking, all of a sudden, they're talking about minority loans and this and that again. And it's like the same shit that they were talking about, back then, where they want to do some guidelines to help, low income people do loans, and that's great, but they're the same stuff that Acorn used to talk about. I don't know if you're familiar with Acorn.
Oh yeah.
But where they are saying, banks aren't lending money to minorities, or banks aren't lending money to low income people. Look, I was in that business, and I worked in those markets, and a lot of it's always because of credit. It's always because of income and credit, and unless you do it where it's affordable to them, you don't want to do it. Otherwise, it's the actuaries and people who figure out what the percentage of people are going to default are almost always right.
Yeah.
And
math doesn't lie.
Yeah. So I see you got to just educate people on how it works, and if you do that, then people will be successful. But it's
Well, it really does come down to education, though. If your credit score is down to the crapper, you need to learn how to get it up to where it's better, and how to succeed as a person.
Right.
Just handing somebody a pile of money doesn't fix their actual problems.
Right.
Yeah, when I first got together with my ex, my credit score was 360.
Oh, that's almost as low as it can go.
Yeah, and that was me being angsty teen, like, no, I don't need to worry about this shit. And of course, I didn't know better, so I was like, whatever. And so once I got with my ex, and once everything started, we wanted to eventually get a house. We had a 2-bedroom apartment that was tiny, and we had just had my older son, and she had one of her own already. And then we had another one on the way, and I'm like, maybe we should. We were planning on having another one, and like, we should, see about getting a house. And that's when we saw the first time home buyer stuff, which they should teach that earlier than, when you want to buy a house. That stuff should be, that should be high school curriculum.
Oh, absolutely. I think, what am I trying to say here? Just financial education, how credit works, how financing works, and things like that. That should be a high school thing, I think. Financial literacy. Just because it's simple when you really think about it. It's pay bills on time. Do whatever you can to do that, and don't get over your head. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do depending on the economy, but also even when even before markets really heated up, there are plenty of people who do it. There's plenty of low income people who have pristine credit that I worked with, and we we always stayed within their means, and they were successful. But people don't have any idea, have no clue how it works, and it's like, well. I paid all my bills. Well, did you pay them on time? Were they more than 30 days late ever? Well, yeah, but I paid them.
Yeah.
It just
that sounds like me.
People don't realize that. Oh yeah, well I paid them. Well, did you? If they're less than 30 days late, it doesn't show up on your credit. But if it's more than 30 days late, that's when it happens, Or, I got behind about 6 months, but I ended up paying it all off. Well, that is going to affect you for that X period of time that you're in. And it just getting people to understand that, was tough. But we work with people and try to help them with, build it up over time. And they come back in a year and they have their credit cleaned up. We're like, hey, let's go. Now we can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to bring back.
I'm gonna run real quick. Monkey and Sasu doing like the little 7 days of Die stream. I'm gonna check that out.
All right.
All right, now good.
Thanks for hopping on.
All right, Pat.
Good seeing you, Pat.
All right, same to y'all.
And then, once I got like all my debts paid off, and I worked my ass off to get that taken care of.
Right.
And now I'm back up in the 700s.
Wow, nice.
And it's just that probably because now you have maybe a couple credit cards, you keep the balances low and you pay them on time, and you pay all the whatever loans you have on time. It's like you probably don't have 20 credit cards, and even though in balance, dicking around with them.
I got two, and they're pretty much scraped to the bottom of the barrel right now.
Yeah.
But that's also why I'm getting. I got a second job to help kind of get that taken care of, to at least get me.
But you pay them on time, even if they're maxed. But you pay them on time, and you only have a couple. That's that it's. You get, and if you get those balances down like below 50% of their limits, your credit score will go up again. And 700 is good. 700 is a great credit score. Especially if you're trying to buy a big purchase item.
Yeah.
Like a house or an expensive car, whatever. As long as you're in that 680 and above is considered good credit.
Oh, yeah, 720. That was me.
Yeah, that's great credit score. That's great.
Yeah.
Most of the guidelines. It dropped down to 660 is a mark, 620 is a mark, 700 is a mark, and then anything above 700 is very good. And then below 620, then you have to go into some, more creative stuff that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you more, and you're going to have higher rates.
I wish they'd teach that in school. and like the home ec stuff, they've gotten away from that. Now kids don't know how anything. They don't know how to sew. They don't know how to take care of anything. I think we lost our host.
Oh, I think so. He's gonna come back.
Well, we got about 5 minutes.
No, yeah, no, I know, yeah. It's the practical stuff that you learn is. Oh, there he is. He's coming back in right now.
Yeah, I mean, these kids, they don't. I sound like a really old man, but they don't really seem to know how anything works, and that's very detrimental. You need to learn how to cook. You need to learn how to balance a checkbook. You need to learn how to repair things. Just
fun.
Common tasks. Welcome back.
Welcome back to your stream, Johnny.
That's nice.
Yeah, I a lot of that stuff. I basically taught my own kids that a lot of that stuff. But yeah, they don't know. They don't know how to sew. Well, actually, my daughter does. Now that I think about it, I know she used to try to make some clothes, but it's not. Plus, she works in theater, so she has dealt with repairing costumes and things like that.
Yeah, I bet that's a nightmare. You have to do that on the fly in the middle of a program.
Oh yeah. She hasn't had that necessarily happen, but yeah, she's had to make adjustments to some costumes she's had and things like that.
Yeah, it's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
A friend of mine does that. She works on the set of Pretty Little Liars.
Oh wow.
And yeah, she had the job and then she lost it and then she got it again. Or something like that. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, and then a gal I dated, she's like, "Oh, I love that show. You should try and get me in there." I'm like, I'm not that good of friends with her. Jesus Christ. Like I was one of those, I knew people, but I only met them. I was a secretary in high school. I knew who everyone was. I knew rumors about them. I knew speculations, and past that, nothing.
But do you know her well enough to get some hidden camera footage?
It
was a joke. Just clarifying.
I cannot confirm or deny any footage of which may or may not be of the adult variety.
This is how I keep getting kicked out of group chats. Oh, there he goes again.
Oh no.
And
for now.
And poof, there he is.
Wow, that is some bullshit. I've never had any outside of comic book conventions. I've never had any brushes with celebrities.
You're not missing anything. Most of them are assholes.
Yeah, I mean, but she's in that spot where watching Leonardo DiCaprio cruise down a set thing on a golf cart is a casual experience for her, and it's just once, I'd like to be walking down the street and bump into someone and be like, "Oh, sorry," and then it'd be like Dennis Quaid or some shit.
And then he'll steal your wallet.
It's for my babies.
No, that's Randy Quaid.
Oh yeah, yeah, he looks horrible. Have you seen pictures of him?
Oh, he is. He's definitely Cousin Eddie for sure.
Yeah, he looks like I had a neighbor that kind of looked like that crazy Gabby Hayes look. And I was like, oh man, it's a long way down, I guess.
Well, when you become what you act as.
Yeah, he's kind of turned into that character from Independence Day, that he played. Had the conspiracy theories and stuff, and there's shit coming at it. There's this and that, and I know the government's watching me, and the aliens are coming and looking.
And I don't take offense that they poked me in the rear.
Right.
That would probably be the most offensive part. I just wonder why the government's wasting their money watching me. I'd be more concerned about why they're trying to probe me.
Oh, God. I think it was I don't remember what show it was, but it's a group that's mastered interstellar flight, and the only thing they come here for is to poke someone in the butt.
Well, I guess intergalactic teenagers, maybe. Like, this will be funny. Watch.
God, who was it? Might have been a stand-up. Possibly, I'd want to say Kyle Kinane. And he was talking. He's like, "Well, what happens if, there's alien visitors, and they just happen to just land in the wrong, the old banjo playing, dueling banjos thing, and they end up, having to get squealed like a piggy." And so they thought that's how the humans greet each other.
Well, there's that. I don't know. I would think an interstellar species would probably see all of us as like we got our cars up on blocks technologically. So I would think they'd avoid us.
I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see if there would be aliens.
Well, if I ever meet one, the first thing I'm going to do is grab him and try and take a bite out of him, just in case they're delicious, and it'll cause enough concern with the others. They'll either leave me alone or get it over with. So I don't want to be in the captive realm of the aliens. That seems pretty horrible. It's probably some.
Well, you'd have to do some sort of capture to see it, because you don't want to just bite into something that's going to be like a xenomorph.
Nope, going for it. Go big or go home. Start an intergalactic incident.
In it to win it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Man. And the alien be like, "Dude, I was just trying to find a sushi recipe."
Right? And I'll be like, "You look like sushi."
We just came to borrow sugar.
Yeah. Unless they're sexy aliens. We need to be, making contact with all the ones Captain Kirk found.
No, man, those are in the other universe over there.
Yeah, well, we got to go. See, we'll just have to ask directions. Where are all your hot aliens? I don't want to, like Starship Troopers, there were no sexy aliens in that. They were all giant bug monsters. We don't want that.
The world should just turn into Futurama. Call it good.
Dare to dream.
So, I just got back. I was down visiting or hanging out with some college buddies out of back at my old school, and I had 3 full days. 3 full days away from social media.
Nice.
And I came back to a controversy about shampoo.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Another controversy about a prom dress.
Yep.
And a controversy about a comedian at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was one of those, open Twitter, see the shit show, close Twitter. But
and then look at your computer like this won't fit in the toilet.
Yeah, I was going to tie some pajamas around it and see if I could get my computer to commit suicide. Man,
Or
just
computer just sprouts an arm with a gun and just immediately blows its own.
yeah.
Exactly.
And this the poor girl with the prom dress. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah.
But they're still beating the hell out of her. But she's actually. I keep seeing people. She's actually taking it well.
Yeah, I would have just ignored. You don't want to engage with those people because they're crazy. Like, cultural appropriation is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. That's
I think
whatever.
Well, like it's like I was telling, I'm part Native American, and I was talking to I'm an off the reservation Native. Because I was just talking to a gal who was born and raised on a reservation, and it's like night and day. Like, we are completely different. Like, I was raised on reservations, but I was never born on them. It was. Yeah, I knew like history and stuff, but I never really followed traditions or anything. And there's a few natives on the tribes that do. I mean, they don't. It's not like, teepees and wigwams and shit like that. But I mean, it's they have some festivals and shit that they get together for and everything. Mm-hmm. And like this is going back to like when what's his name, Pharrell wore the headdress on the magazine cover.
Oh, right.
And he's just like, yeah, our Native Americans, so this is a thing I thought I would celebrate. And I'm like, okay. And yeah, I'm like, other than feelings, who are you hurting?
Yeah. Well,
and I think even then, like, there's a difference between, like, Pharrell doing the headdress on the thing, and some cracked out Halloween costume where he's doing the Atlanta Braves dance and then falling down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, this girl clearly didn't mean anything by it. She looked nice, actually. I thought it really kind of hugged her ass pretty well, but I don't think she was trying to be offensive. She wasn't going around going, ching chong or anything. So
don't bring what's her name into it. Ching chong ding dong.
Yeah, it's one thing if you find something, like, she obviously found the dress attractive, thought it was beautiful, wanted to wear it. I mean, I know a lot of Asians, and they'd be like, yeah, it's a nice dress, so what? This is really an American issue where people get all hyper offended on behalf of somebody else, and normally the other people in those actual countries, they don't give a crap.
Well, it's like I was just watching. Well, I read Satsu's tweet about it, and he's like, yeah, and then you have Japanese people doing a whole bunch of, like, they do hip hop and baseball and a bunch of American shit. So
yeah.
Oh, right. Well, the other thing too is, you know what? They're selling that dress to white people in Chinatown, so somebody must have said it was okay. Or whatever. She said she got it at a shop, but whatever. It's like, you know what? She thought it was a pretty dress, and she wore it for a special occasion. Even the guy who started this shit, said it's meant for special occasions. Well, guess what? She's wearing it for a special occasion with knowing, and the same dude. People have been going through his tweets now to see what things he's appropriate. He says some stupid shit that maybe he shouldn't be saying. So it's like, you know what? Who cares? If It's a beautiful dress for a special occasion, and that's how she treated. She wasn't out there trying to mock people. She wasn't using it as a
Exactly.
Halloween costume. It's not like she wore it for Halloween. And I wouldn't give a shit if she did, but that's just me. But
No, I'm
but
right
she
there
wasn't
with
wearing it for Halloween. She wasn't wearing it to a costume party. She was wearing it to a formal event, which is what the dress is made for. So what do you do? I mean, it's just someone trying to get some Twitter banner going to me.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
I a friend of mine who is, I think she's at least half native, and I went to elementary school with her. She's one of the first, also outside the reservation gals I became friends with. Now, there's a difference between that Chinese dress and the screen share here because it is hilarious. Oh, where are you? That.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's just ugly.
Oh, it's actually pretty cool. Oh wait, it's not. No, how did that went back?
Are those pants?
Those are pants. And she's like, "Are you kidding me?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, natives come in and buy these all the time." And I'm like, "Well, that sells you." like, good lord,
I mean, it's not something you'd wear every day. Wouldn't wear it, working at the bank, but
I wouldn't wear that anywhere. like,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
I mean, like, if you're trying to sell that to me, like, you need to try harder.
Yeah, tone it down a few levels of bright.
Oh, people buy this all the time. It's like, I no.
I think people are just too hypersensitive these days.
well, everyone wants something to bitch about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they try to build social capital or clicks by being mad about something, and everyone's just too damn sensitive. It's like fuck.
Well,
You know?
I've knocked it down to no one wants to be the bad guy. And
Yeah, and you seem to get a certain amount of like political and attention capital by pointing at someone and saying they're a bad person, get them, like stirring up the hate mob. 'Cause people seem to like to be angry, and I don't understand that.
yeah. Well, like last Halloween, I counted how many people were dressed up as Indians, and it was 2. And I was like, okay, whatever. And it's not like they're running around like, oh, all that stuff. They're just walking around. They're walking around in a costume, like whatever. And people are like, oh, this is cultural appropriation. I'm like, have you read the names? The name of the costume is more offensive than the costume.
Oh yeah.
Like one, there's a girl's costume, and it's called Reservation Royalty.
Wow.
And I'm like,
man.
holy shit.
I'm a pretty offensive person, and I don't think I'd throw that one out there. Jeez.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I can kind of get why people might be annoyed by people using traditional things as costumes. I kind of.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm half Nigerian, and if some dude said, you know what, I'm going to go on Halloween wearing a caftan, I wouldn't give a shit. It's like, whatever, dude. But I guess some people get riled up. But I think people just, what the thing is, and especially on Twitter, people just want to be angry about something.
Yeah.
Just want, because anytime you can be angry about something, you get victim points. And I despise the victim culture.
Oh yeah,
with a passion. Everyone wants to be that special victim that someone's gonna say, oh, let me help you, or let me throw some sympathy or something at you. And I just it's
Yep.
tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, don't they have real problems to deal with?
No, no, they don't. They have first world problems, and so
Ugh.
that and you know, I've been in different countries where there's real, just heartbreaking poverty,
Yeah,
and you're over here complaining that someone wore a dress that looks too much like something in your culture, for a prom dress, or worrying about what was the other one that um, the one that I really came back to that drove me nuts was the God, what was it? I just said it too. Um,
uh,
oh shoot, I can't remember.
There was the dress and the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I don't know if you guys ever heard her material. It's bland as fuck anyway.
Oh, it was pretty. Just that was cringe-worthy shit. It was tired.
Yeah.
And it was just, and some of it was so insulting. But I mean, that's not unusual. But usually,
Doesn't help that it's coming from a woman.
yeah.
No, but yeah, her stuff. She's not funny. But I mean, I didn't watch the videos, and I could give two fucks.
I didn't even know I'd never heard of her even. Was she on Saturday Night Live or something, or where was she from?
The Daily Show.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a good reason why I've never heard of her.
yeah.
I just don't watch it. But I mean, like when Colbert did a couple years ago, I didn't necessarily like the jokes, but at least it was a little bit funny. I mean, he was. It wasn't so grossly just biting, in that type of situation. I mean, she did actually. There were a couple funny ones that she did say though, but yeah.
Well, anybody's going to get one good one in there eventually.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I was talking to a guy in high school, and this guy he was bullied by this other kid, and the guy was cracking jokes, and I was laughing. He's like, "Oh, how can you laugh at that?" I'm like, "Well, even an asshole's funny a couple times." Like,
It's true.
he's a cunt, but I mean, Jesus, it was a funny joke.
Oh, I remember what the other one was. The shampoo controversy.
Oh God,
Yes.
that was so dumb.
I mean, come on. The hotel's going to give you the most generic shampoo they can.
It's cheap.
Clean your hair, okay? But yeah, they're not going to go put in 70 different hair care products for every single type of hair. Sorry.
Yeah, and that stuff is garbage on anyone's hair.
Right.
I mean, you might as well just get some chemicals out from under a sink and pour them on your head. It's got the same effect.
As if all, as if white people shampoo is one size fits all. Come on now.
Exactly.
You know.
People get so worked up about this petty nonsense. Like, you're lucky to be even staying in a hotel. There are places in the world where the hotel is probably more dangerous than the street.
Well, and if you're staying in a hotel, you probably have a pretty good life, right?
Yeah.
If you're traveling and you have to stay in a hotel, you're doing it for something because you have either an event that someone else paid for, or you're on vacation that you paid for, but you're living a privileged life. So
Yeah.
if you don't like the free, generic hotel shampoo, go to Walgreens, go to CVC, go buy some. Bring your own shit
from home. Yeah.
And she's bitching, well, you can't take it on the plane. You can take 4 ounces.
Yeah, and there's shops everywhere. Where are you that the hotel's in the middle of nowhere?
Right.
There's always a convenience store nearby or something that sells some shampoo, and shampoo is not expensive.
No, that's serious first world problem, man.
Yeah. Oh, that was so dumb. I read that and I've never wanted to punch my monitor more.
Yeah.
Stop showing me stupid stuff.
That's neat.
But the fact that people are writing articles like this and getting paid for it, I find a little sickening.
Well, that's like that the Avengers review that everyone's talking about right now, where they plop these characters just because we have to watch them. It's like, have you not been paying attention to the last 10 years of movies?
Yeah, I saw one where they were complaining there weren't enough queer or LGBT characters in the Avengers.
Yeah,
I was like, who cares? Why does that? Why do you need to see yourself on the screen? That's tiresome and lazy. Like, it's just a movie. Just either watch it or don't. If you don't want to see it, don't watch it.
I've never understood inclusion.
I haven't either, really. I mean,
inclusion for inclusion's sake, no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no.
It's just lazy. Like it never makes for entertaining art. You know, if you go to see a movie and they've wedged in somebody just for the sake of it, it's never going to be an entertaining piece.
Actually, I was just talking to my family about this because my sister's friend was an extra in this TV show Yellowstone.
Oh yeah, I heard about that show.
And well, Adam Beach, he's a prominent Native American actor.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I just want to hear this. I was pissed when they killed him off in Suicide Squad. And yeah, that was one of those roles. Like, he didn't get a backstory. I'm like, oh, he's fucking dead. Like, god damn it.
Yep.
And then, like, within 5 minutes, he's gone. But he had a complaint that the guy playing Kevin Costner's wife isn't Native. And I was like, okay, well, why does that matter? And come to find out that she's as white as a ghost. And I can see that complaint. Like, that's one I can see.
Yeah, that's just poor casting, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like. I don't know. She must be blowing the guy for that fucking role, but like, she went Weinstein. But I mean, like, there's I don't want to. Like, I mean, because I mean, you get the casting roles like Emma Stone in where she played the half Chinese gal.
Yeah,
like, yeah. I mean, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, because that just makes the story unbelievable. Then you're like, yes, that girl's not even close.
Yeah,
but I think that's more miscasting than something intentional. Or they're trying to get a bankable actress that'll bring people into seats. I just find that lazy. That's just poor craftsmanship.
Yeah, that's also like with like Gods of Egypt. That entire movie was whitewashed.
That movie was just terrible. There was nothing good about it.
It was a shit movie. Like,
yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah, I think the casting was fairly low on the priorities of terrible on that one.
But yeah, I think I don't know. Like, it's like it seems like for every straw man, there's actually something that's there, and so it just fuels other straw men.
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem is that the actual complaints get lost among the fluff. So when there is an actual situation where they are doing something wrong or doing miscasting or something like that, then it gets kind of downplayed because there's such a basket full of these whiny complaints that the actual problem is buried in there. My analogies are awful today. I'm sorry. But yeah, like you go back to like the dawn of filmmaking, like Birth of a Nation. That was one of the most racist movies ever made. And that sort of problem gets kind of forgotten about because people are complaining about these trivialities now. You can't look at, when somebody starts listing off movies with problems and they've got a bunch of nonsense stuff in there and they sneak in an actual one, you're going to ignore it because it gets buried in the mess. You can't find it.
I don't think I've actually seen Birth of the Nation.
Oh, it's a
the original one from the 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a movie about the dawn of the KKK. Isn't it's a silent movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never seen. I've seen clips from it, but I've never really tried to watch it.
Yeah, it was one of the first epic, big budget movies, and from a technical standpoint, it was well done for the time. But from a storyline standpoint, it was just a propaganda piece for the Klan, and it was a horrifically racist movie. But things like that, most people haven't seen movies like that now, so they don't understand how bad it could be. Okay, so there's no LGBT people in Avengers. I'm sorry, but maybe the story didn't call for it. I don't think we have to have the entire Burger King Kids Club in here to represent an entertaining movie. Yeah. But you go back to something like Birth of a Nation, and that was just blatant racist propaganda. It's come a long way.
In particular, on someone asking for that, it's like, what would it add to the story? And who says there isn't an LGBT character?
Yeah,
who knows
exactly.
if you don't know that? Because you know what the people that I know that are in that community, some of them just don't stick out. They don't have to stick out. They're not. It's like, they don't walk into the room and go, "Hi, I'm gay."
Yeah, because people that do that are weird.
They're just normal people. So you don't. You know what? Is there a plot reason to say that someone is or isn't? Who cares?
Exactly.
It's not part of the story. If it's a story about some, gay kid coming of age and figuring out that he's gay, okay, there you go. There's a reason to put it in there. But
that's like that movie that's coming out now. What's it called? I want to say Riley, but I don't want to get confused with Riley Bennett because that's a whole different ball game there. But yeah, it's a story, and the guy's like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. I have all these friends. I'm this popular guy in school, but I have a secret. Record scratch. I'm gay. And I'm like, I guessed that from the moment you said you had a secret.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like the plot point has been done to death.
Yeah, nobody cares if you're gay anymore. I don't have time for that. Like, okay, good job. What's your secret?
Yay.
You got bodies in the crawl space or something? Because I don't want to know about that.
Yeah.
You're gay? Cool. All right, whatever. Got no time.
It's like I was talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, there's 3 possible responses that I've seen. I mean, unless there's someone who is a stout homophobe. There's 3 typical responses that you'll see when someone comes out as gay. There's either, oh, that makes sense, like never noticed, but yeah, I can see that. And then there's the, yeah, okay, like immediate acceptance. And then there's no shit.
Glad you caught up with the rest of us. We all knew.
We were wondering when you were going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when Kevin Spacey came out as gay. That kind of shocked me.
But you know what? And
pedophile stuff with it. Yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary one. But then, like, you had Clay Aiken come out as gay, and it's like, yeah, no shit. We already knew.
Yeah. I think it would be weird. Like, I had a female friend, and she said she had something to tell me one time, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I thought, is she lesbian? Because I'm not really seeing that. And her secret was that she liked to lick guys on the side of the face. And I was wishing for lesbianism at that point because it got really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that would be odd.
Yeah. Ugh, gross. The germs? Ew.
No, we had there was a gal I knew. Well, there's a few gals I had crushes on in middle school, and one of them turned out to be a lesbian, and it was like that was kind of a shock until you find out the stereotypes of lesbians, and then it's like, man, I should have seen that coming. But I didn't really think about, like, I wasn't like I'm not a predatory type guy. I was never really chase and tail 24/7.
Yeah.
I was like more over avoiding who's going to beat my ass for the next 6 hours, 6 hours of the school day.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the feeling. I hate dating. It's the worst. Just gonna get me a nice mail order bride.
Yeah, I haven't had to worry about that for a very long time.
You married?
I've been married 25 years.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
We just had our 25th anniversary. So I've been around the block a while.
The last gal that I dated more recently, like, everything was just sort of fell into place and everything was going good. And next thing I know, she's using me to make her ex jealous.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm not that kind of, like, if you need that, just tell me. Like, I'm good at that. I can do that.
Yeah.
I haven't, like, I don't see myself as, like, I'm no Brad Pitt for sure, but like, when guys and, well, like, if I'm friends with their girlfriend, like, immediately there's that who's this motherfucker type mentality going on. But even when they meet me and they're like, oh yeah, that guy's kind of cool, but there's still kind of a, this guy fucking thinks he's gonna swoop in. And I'm over here just like, oh, look, I need new shoes. Like, I don't know what's going on over here. Like, I'm completely oblivious to everything around me. And there is an international conspiracy going on in front of me, and I could not even notice it.
It's probably better that way. Yeah, I hate dating. It's such a pain. I wish I was married just for the getting it over with part. But nope. Don't date American women. They're all crazy from what I've seen. If you guys are lucky enough to lock someone down, do it. But man, I don't like after you hit about 40, your tolerance for stupid seems to go down. And when you're out dating on the dating circuit, there are so many crazy cat ladies out there.
Oh yeah.
I think women get a little crazy around the time the biological clock's almost up, But I might be alone on that one. I tend to be a bit of a freak magnet.
Oh, you're telling me.
No, I'm very fortunate in that department. We've had a great marriage, raised a couple of really good kids, and
I know my
It's
my
awesome.
my first serious girlfriend. On our first date, we got in a fight over a Reuben
Huh. My
because of what goes on it.
my last date asked me for money within about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, she wanted to buy some heroin.
Ugh.
Yeah, I was like, well, check please.
This
Run
date
away.
is over.
Yeah. Never let your friends set you up. They will find it hilarious.
Yeah, I the last blind date I got set up on, they sold me everything except for the key parts. So I'm just like, all right, this is gonna be a train wreck, isn't it? And I walked in, and you know those, you know that Saturday Night Live skit with the Target lady. Kristen Wiig is the Target lady, and she's all like, "I'm not going like this."
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. Well, imagine that with your basic elderly Walmart worker. Just everything's disproportioned, and she's overly enthusiastic about it, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. Like, and then she messaged me. This is back in the Yahoo chat days. And she messaged me and she's like, well, I have this problem with this guy. And, you know, he's being really distant and all that stuff. And I'm like, he's an asshole. You should dump him. You should drop him. And she goes, well, it's you. And I'm like, well, I'm an asshole. You should drop me. Like, just go away.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I was like, I didn't want to be there. I'm not sure about you, but I'm just no. It's yeah, it was a thing. That's for sure.
Wow. I just looked at chat and Sheagrath had a question slightly unrelated. Do you think Chewbacca has a human knob or a dog type lipstick knob?
I'm sure he's got one of those ones with barbs.
I don't know because I never thought about Chewbacca's penis before. But I thought we should probably address it.
Oh, oh my God! Yeah, you're right. You know what? Hey, let me just tell you something. You are 100% correct. I have never thought about Chewbacca's penis.
Yeah, it's gonna bother me all day now.
Now you, oh God, you had. Oh man.
All right, so I have a question. I don't see him on chat. Like, I am not seeing anything on chat.
Oh, I don't either. Huh.
I just see what I can type.
Do you have a separate screen open with the stream in it, or are you just looking at the Hangouts?
Oh, I'm just looking at Hangouts.
Yeah, you got to open another tab and open the page where the thing is actually going and mute it, and you can see what's going on over there.
Oh, yeah. See, I just had this chat here and here. Okay, I didn't even have it open.
Yeah, I'm really terrible about opening a second screen because I'm lazy. But yeah, I thought we got.
You're watching it while you're moderating it.
Yeah, I'm used to moderating because I don't know why, but people give me wrenches occasionally. So I thought we'd better probably check see what's going on over in the chat department.
All right, there. Mute that. I didn't know. I didn't even realize there were people listening.
No, oh, here we are. Oh, look at that.
Shiograth cracks me up, man. That guy is funny.
Okay.
You know, well, do we now? I was curious now too. Like I said, I don't use Hangouts.
Hmm.
Does our group chat on the Hangout go into the chat in on the stream?
No, that is just between the three of us and
Okay.
whoever else is on the actual stream. So anything you put in there, like if you want to talk smack about someone, you can put it in the group chat, and they won't see it. But you can still interact with them because you could go to the other screen and look at the live chat and interact with them there. But anything on the Hangouts just stays in the group, which makes it kind of difficult if you're trying to moderate what's going on in their chat. If somebody's trying to send you a message or link in the group chat, you'll miss it because you're not paying attention, and they'll have to say, "Look at the group chat."
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do the entire time. I'm like, I can't even tell who's in and who's out. So it's like,
Yeah, you can hit there's a thing where it shows you can look up the participants. So we got 4 of us. Well, now us 3 are in, and then TA and Shiograth are in. So that's cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a little easier. They're a little delayed. Like we could see their response, but when we respond to something they say, it's like a 30-second delay most of the time.
Right. Has to go through the tubes.
Yeah, the Mario keeps them clean for us. I'm pretty sure that's how that works, right? The internet is Mario Land.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a technical person.
Dr. looks at recently deceased patient and asks what were his final words. The nurse replies, "None, doctor. His wife was with him to the very end." Nice.
Well, you're taking a bold gamble reading Shiograth jokes.
Oh no, I knew not to read the Alfie one over here.
Well, guys, I'm at a point where I need to jump out.
Cool.
So I've been gone all weekend. I'm gonna go hang out with my wife. I think she's done writing her paper. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been 3 hours. So
oh my gosh! Oh wow! Didn't
Yeah.
even notice. Time flies, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was good to finally talk to you, P-Dog.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. And Johnny, I appreciate the invite. This is kind of fun. And,
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
We'll hit this up again. So thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
Care, man.
Bye bye.
All right. I'm gonna thanks TA and Shiograth for showing up. I'm gonna close this out. And I will. Oh yeah, it's on the other screen. Okay. I'm all over the place. All right. There's lead call. Was it lead call or what's okay? What do you do? Okay. How do we close this one out? Is it Hangouts so we close cancel out? Lead call. Currently broadcasting and also on.
Just panic and hit all the buttons. It's fine.
Might as well. All right. And I'll take a second. All right. Well, yeah. I guess I'll Talk to you later.
All right, man. Well, thanks for the invite. Sorry I was late.
No, that's fine. Happy that people showed up. All right. Well, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.